Right, members, good evening and welcome to this Ramsgate Town Council Asset Management Committee meeting. First of all, can I just ask you to make sure you turn your mobile phones off or turn them to silent, please? And don't use them unless it's emergency during the meeting. That would be great. Without ado, we'll move straight on. Item 1, apologies.
We have apologies from Councillors Austin and Crittenden, who have a commitment at TDC, and Councillors Driver, Nixie and Hetherington, who have personal commitments.
Thank you. Item 2, any declarations of interest on the items on the agenda? No, thank you. Item 3, minutes. To approve the minutes of the meeting of the Asset Management Committee held on the 22nd of January 2025 as a true record. Members, any questions on the minutes at all? Okay, we'll take that as a no then. So can I have a proposal for acceptance, please? Councillor Shonk, seconded, Councillor.
It was a long time ago.
No. Yeah.
All in favour, please show. Thank you very much. It's carried. Well, item 4, allotments. This is to receive the written report which is in your pack. From Mrs. Nash, the allotment officer, and consider the following matters: current allotments waiting list update, allotment site representatives update, allotment communication guidance with correspondence, amendment to the site representatives role document and rules, and adoption of volunteer agreements, and all one other allotment listing, fee changes and credit. Let's get over that.
Shall I just go through these one at a time?
Yes, please. Yes.
So first of all, it's an update on the allotment waiting list, and you're asked to note that there are currently 213 applicants. This has gone up 31 people since the last report in January.
With that number waiting, we should, I think, be looking for some land if we can.
Yeah, that's not. I don't disagree with that at all. I think obviously we need to highlight that wherever that may be. I don't know.
I don't know whether there's a suitable.
I was just wondering whether there's any
estate agent or something that we could.
Or is there any chance of extending our current situation?
Just border fields.
Yeah. So whether that could be.
I have written to the landowner, the farmer adjacent to Chiltern Lane East, and unfortunately haven't had a response. But haven't contacted estate agents. General feel.
So, then, was you happy with that? If we do that?
Sorry, Chair, do we have any information on retention? Because I know some people think it's a good idea to have an allotment, and then the reality is really, it's like, oh my God, I just can't spend enough time there. So do we have any information on, obviously a lot of people have been there a long time, so it's not really information on those we need, because they're not really going to change. But it's when we've allotted a patch, is there a high turnover, and what is there anything we can do to address that? So making some sort of, I don't know, I think I mentioned this before about a probationary period where we attach them to somebody else who's got an allotment and they get an idea of just how difficult it is going to be to have an allotment.
What I can advise is that our allotment officer is pretty damn good, and so she regularly looks at to see what's not being cultivated, and then she will write to them to tell them, you're not cultivating, can you please do so within about
I do know that.
Oh, okay.
And I thought
I'm not quite sure what else you think.
I thought Maggie's report last time was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
May
Yeah, please.
We don't currently have any statistics around retention rates, but I do know to try and offset the people who don't understand the commitment that they're taking on and don't stay for very long, that the allotment officer provides a lot of information in advance, and also the site reps meet and show people around and take that as an opportunity to try and explain the commitment and what's involved, to try and make sure people are as informed as possible about what they will need to do.
I think the other, sorry, Chair, the other route we could make is, again, approaching schools, because every school has an old allotment site that won't be used. The days of staff being able to work on allotments for kids after school has just finished. So we could have, I think Chatham have got a big area of land at the end of Chapel Place, I think. I know both the Marlow academies, and I know we've looked at the upper site, but I know the lower site also has a large allotment area at the back, which is, they're not using them because they can't. So he's trying to find, and they don't, if they're part of the coastal communities, I understand they're an academy, so we haven't got the issue with actually buying the land or having to deal with KCC, because the schools actually own the land. That would be undertaking some sort of joint venture with schools. I don't know whether it's worth that.
I think we could look into that. That's not a problem, Councillor. I think we can look into that, or just to dip our toe in the water and see whether that's the case and how big it is, and whether it's worth the effort of creating something there. I mean, my personal feeling is if we can extend what we currently got into a field with farmers, right, and then down the cost, isn't it? So, I mean, everything's down the cost, but no problem looking into that. Yes. So, members,
Note.
this is just for noting, noted for information only. So, unless anyone's got anything else to say, we consider that to be noted, and we'll look into the things that's been raised. Okay. Sorry, Councillor Green.
Looking at the accounts, I think the income and expenditure justify balance, which is what it's supposed to do.
Right.
But I do notice that our expenditure on that is really quite high. So it is.
So, the committee has previously resolved to cancel that contract, and it is now cancelled.
Yeah. Because we didn't think it was worth it, did we?
Chair,
Yes.
you say that allotments are very important. Aren't we covering our costs on these allotments at all?
It's just about balance.
Yeah. It's not there to make money. It's just there to ensure that people can enjoy it, and we get money back, if you like, for that. So if members are happy with that, we can accept that note. Thank you. Item 2, allotment site representatives update.
So the committee agreed that site representative groups would be adopted as an alternative to the traditional individual site representative to help share the responsibility. And the tenants at Margate Road allotment site have elected by ballot the first RTC site representative group of 3 people. Their tenure began in April, and so far the 3 plot holders who have formed the group are working well together and working well with the allotment officer.
And that is just for information only. Okay.
The next item is the allotment site reps have traditionally had informal WhatsApp groups as a means of communicating quickly with a lot of people on the site. And these WhatsApp has never been used for communication by Ramsgate Council. So anything official to do with executing the terms of the tenancy is not via WhatsApp. But I think that the site representatives find it useful for messages like the box going to be delivered this Friday. But the appropriateness has been raised by a tenant who felt that WhatsApp was inappropriate and should be banned under allotment rules because it's encrypted. The tenant was concerned that WhatsApp groups on allotment sites could be used to harass, discriminate, or otherwise contravene the Equality Act. So you're asked, the allotment rules can be updated throughout the year as necessary. And in the agenda was included, if WhatsApp is something, messages are something that you're happy to continue, there wouldn't be a way that Ramsgate Town Council will conduct its business.
No.
But for the site reps, if they think it's useful, there's in front of you some draft guidance on the use of WhatsApp. And then if that's approved, there's then an update to be made to the site representative role document and an additional short sentence to be added to the allotment rules. I mean, I think the key point is that anyone who doesn't use WhatsApp, there must be a means of giving them the same information so that they're not left out. And all the site reps understand that. But there are quite a few people who find it just very easy to receive a quick message via WhatsApp.
I mean, personally, I don't think it's a problem. I think what we should do probably is trial it for a period of 3 months or something to see if members are happy with that, just to see how it goes. And because you don't need WhatsApp to carry out some serious offence against somebody. You can do that through your mouth, or a letter, or something else. So if it's making it easier for the site reps, and I think maybe it's specific to them. You try it for 3 months. Are you happy with that, members?
You mean not to communicate with the general?
Yeah, no, just for the site, I think just between the site reps so they can get that.
So at the moment, the allotment officer, there isn't a group of site reps. These are the groups that the site rep has included with the tenants on their plot. So.
Oh, okay.
Give that 3 months trial.
Yeah.
Because has anybody directly complained of, or is it just a work concern?
It's a concern about what could happen, not that something has happened.
Yeah.
Because with any of those apps, while they're encrypted both ends, you can phone a screenshot if there is offence.
Yeah.
And harassment.
Yeah.
And it is actually used widely by the police. Employment. So the screenshots are fine.
Yeah.
But hopefully it wouldn't even go that way.
Well, so no, that's good.
I think the problem is that some tenants will inevitably be left out,
Yeah.
either because they don't use computing at all, or they don't use WhatsApp.
Yeah. And specifically because a lot of our tenants are an older generation and perhaps don't use it. I'd
Does
say.
each site have a notice board?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, if there was something that was an emergency, we've got various means of contacting everybody.
So what do you think? It's 3 months trial? See how it goes?
It's how the act is managed by the admins, isn't it? And I think as soon as the admins, it's always useful to have more than one person as an admin on a WhatsApp group. And then I guess you can just put at the top the ground rules. So
Yeah, we can do that.
the ground rules at the top, and then
Use the notice boards.
And the use of the notice board.
backed up with the notice board.
Yeah.
I mean, it might if the notice goes up and you take a picture of it, you actually send the picture to everybody rather than put anything.
So if we
Basic ground rules, it should be about information sharing rather than slagging each other off.
So if we agree that, then we'd say, and if there's no problems after 3 months, to make it a permanent thing. Members agree with that? Yeah. Okay, thank you.
The next item is a a volunteer agreement for the site representatives, including those in the site representatives group. And sent to you was a volunteer contract, which is not legally required, but is considered good practice to provide. This document outlines the expectations and responsibilities of the volunteer and council, helping to ensure clear understanding of the role and support provided. It also acts to make sure it's clear that the volunteers are not staff members. So attached Appendix 4 is a volunteer agreement as recommended by WorkNest to provide our workplace HR support, and it's recommended that this be put into place with the site reps.
Members, any comments?
How do they conduct the elections?
So there was, first of all, nominations were invited, and then people could vote by forms that were returned to the office or by email.
Through the office?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, not just on site. No. Members, any issues with that? I think it's great.
The only thing I'd say,
Okay.
I just don't want these people working in it, working people continuously arguing. It has happened in the past, but I think,
Such is life.
I know, but
Such is.
we want to keep a happy ship, not
Of
a,
course we do,
absolutely.
but that's up to them.
Dig for Britain.
That's up to them to keep that.
Let's have a positive outlook. Everything's going to be fine. There's always going to be.
We don't want to lose the plot.
Don't create more.
Exactly, let's not.
Just ask, are there any benefits to being a site rep? Because it seems to me it's quite an arduous task and saves us a great deal of angst.
You get a free allotment, don't you?
You get a free allotment, is that it? Yeah. Do we pay their expenses, so if they have to come to the allotment on allotment business rather than to dig their spuds up, do we pay their travel expenses at all? Maybe is that something we could consider next review?
Well, I think that when you talk to the site reps that we have,
They're quite happy.
and they like it because it's a human thing, it's a control thing, and they like to know who's doing what and where, and you know, and I think, and as it is, it works very well. Members okay with that then?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
The next item is allotment fees, charges and credit, and the report details the traditional size of an allotment, which is 250 square metres, which over the years are being broken down into half plots and quarter plots. But how they've been divided is not an exact science. And it's also informed by, well, where there's trees and boundaries and maybe some bits of land that aren't quite workable for some reason. And it's come to the allotment officer's attention that actually there's 2 plots that she thinks are being overcharged. They're being charged for a half plot, whereas their plots are at most in reality a third or a quarter. And she asks you to consider, first of all, whether to adopt an additional plot measurement of a third. Currently, we just have full, half and quarter. Whether the allotment officer can relist the 2 plots that she mentions, which are undersized plots at the cemetery as quarters, or thirds if you adopt thirds. Whether to offer a period of credit in recognition of historic overcharge on 2 specific plots, and whether to consider an allotment, a statewide remeasurement and mapping of all the allotments.
Blimey, need a big tape.
I don't think we should go to thirds. I think it gets too complicated.
Yeah,
But if there's an undersized half plot,
yeah,
then rent it as quarter.
yeah, I agree. Otherwise it gets, once you do a third, well, I don't want a third, I only want a quarter, so you've got a third and a quarter, and then you've got a bit messy. So,
May I note that the suggestion to remap the whole site is, I believe, driven by the allotment officer wanting to do a good job, rather than actually we've got complaints coming up from the tenants.
I think it's a good idea. Sorry, Chair, it's a big task, I would imagine. I've got 50 metres tape measure at home, but I think it would be useful to do that, because there may be bits of land that could be cleared that might create another bit, but I think if the allotment officer is asking, can she do that to improve her job?
so long as she's got the time.
We should support her.
So where there's over 400 allotments, I would suggest that this is something that's maybe a long term.
A long term.
It's not something that can be done quickly.
Make a proposal then that maybe she has a go at the smallest site, measures it, and then she can come back and say, I wish I hadn't said that. or yeah, I think we should support her in wanting to do that, because she thinks it might improve her job, but maybe, give her the next 6 months.
That's a bit of common sense, I think.
Yeah.
I think that I'm quite in favour of that.
It's the cemetery, the smallest one.
Yeah.
That's the tightest one. Mm.
A 6 foot plots.
Yeah.
Sorry. Come in, Becky.
But it all grows well.
Okay, so members happy with that?
Yes.
Happy with everything with that?
With regard to the 2 plots that are going to be resized,
Yeah.
you're happy for some credit in recognition of
Yes.
the historic overcharge?
Yes. I mean, do we know how much that is?
So at the moment, they're paying £44, and we would be bringing it down to £22. Maggie hasn't suggested a duration, so it
Right.
could be something that we give them the next 2 years
Yeah. We'd be happy.
without payment.
Maybe we could ask for a sack of spuds in return.
Have they complained then?
No, but again, this is Maggie identifying something that she thinks isn't right.
Or just change it and carry on?
Carry on.
Okay.
Just carry on. If they're not complaining.
Carry on, carrying on.
Yeah.
Councillor Chonk?
I think it's cheap to go out there 365 days a year.
Except in a leap year. Okay, are we okay then with that? I'm quite happy with that. Are members okay?
I'm not okay, because I think if the allotment officer, I think she probably has one of the worst jobs here, because it can be a battlefield, as I've experienced myself. And I think what she's trying to do is give leeway where there's justified reasons for it, which then we're trying to establish. She's trying to establish a narrative of, look, we are here to listen, not just to enforce, type of thing.
Well, that's fine. That's your opinion.
Battlefield, that's a week.
I don't know.
We need a.
But if we drop the price going forward and the person hasn't complained, then they'd be happy.
Yeah, that's what I think. Yeah. Members agree with that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Right, move on. Item 5, Customs House, is to receive a verbal update from the Town Clerk regarding the current external repairs, and the second part of it is to receive a written report from the Town Clerk and consider the quote contained therein for lightning protection system modifications.
Thank you, Chair. So just briefly, starting at the top, all the new balustrades that we purchased have been used. It was envisaged originally that we'd have a couple of spares that we'd keep in the dome, but actually, when Georgian Brickwork started, they realised that no, all of them were needed for repairs. Georgian Brickwork are now finished on the front. They were given the instructions of start at the top and make your way down, so that if for some reason the budget is exhausted and something needs to be revisited, let that be somewhere that you can reach from the ground and you don't have to get scaffolding to come back for.
Good.
But there was some additional work required on the dome, which needed more scaffolding. But touch wood, we've currently got 4 days in hand with Georgian brickwork, and that's going to be used around the entrance door, which hasn't been addressed yet. They have flagged up that 2 of the columns outside of the mayor's parlour at some point are going to need to be replaced. That's something we can ask our surveyor for the quinquennial review, which will be in 2 years' time.
But it's not in danger of falling down.
No. They just flagged up that they've been slowly deteriorating for decades.
Yeah.
There will come a time when actually they need to be replaced.
Yeah.
So that the front scaffolding is ready to come down, but actually the scaffolding on the dome is attached to it, and the consideration to do the lightning protection system that's about to come up requires the scaffolding on the dome to remain. The gentleman who was been doing the custom house windows, unfortunately, some of the brickwork then created a little bit of damage to the newly glossed windows, but at his own cost he came out and re-glossed the outside of the windows to make to finish them off as we would like. And that's it. So coming to an end soon. It was just very unfortunate that the building looked as it was during Operation Dynamo.
I know, yeah, shame. But there we are. Vanille. Category.
Just as an aside, lightning protection was on the first agenda of the council when we moved in there.
Was it? and evidently now it turned out to be French. And a bit of a memento. And I mean, personally, having read this, I got lost a bit in some of the technical stuff, but
There wasn't any when we moved.
I doubt there was. But Councillor Wing, sorry, you wanted to come in.
We didn't install it, the landlord did. So the landlord installed something that wasn't compliant. So have we gone back to the landlord to say maybe you could contribute to the new one coming in? Have we?
Would you like
So we used are we ready to move on to this agenda item? Last year there was a new lightning protection system. The company that supplied it was recommended by the landlord.
Yeah.
And this was a company based in London who had been in existence since the 1800s. They were a very established, proper company. But when trying to get them to come out this year for an annual inspection, we discovered that they've gone out of business. So I've now contacted Redpath Buchanan, which is a Kent-based company that I'm familiar with because I used to use them at Sandwich. And they came out and tested the system, but they said it's a system that follows the French standard, and they are not comfortable signing it off to a British standard. And I asked them to explain, well, why is this? And they said it's becoming increasingly common for these French standard systems to be used. I think that there is a possibility that it's more that Redpath Buchanan, this is just not the type of system that they recommend and use. I did contact another company in Kent that installed the French systems to say, but actually the company itself I had concerns about, whereas at least we know Redpath Buchanan with royal appointment, it is a very straight company.
Prestigious.
Yeah.
I think what concerns me is the insurance. If we're not up to British standard,
Could be void.
then we could be in difficulties. Should it be struck by lightning and it not work, especially some of it's not even gone in the ground. So I think we do, my humble opinion is I think we need to comply and to get it to British standard and use this company to do it. Councillor Shong.
Is there a cost so far, how much we spent on this? Because we've got 4 repair lease on this property. The colonnade done up terracotta, I think, which is very expensive. I've been up top and it's like in that dome, there's a pigeon. Has there anybody been up top into the dome? Well, it's quite interesting, it's quite nice. There is a cost. How much we spent so far on 4 repair and lease on this building?
Well, we've moved, can I just say, we have moved on, Councillor Shonk, and onto the lightning thing, so if you're concerned about what that is.
You're going to enlighten me on the cost, because with the cost, that's right, don't worry, that's right.
So we just wanted to, to try and move this through, so.
That's not figures that I have to mind for our tenure over the last 14 years.
It's
expensive though.
It is.
Building like this on the seafronts.
Yeah. But it's prestigious. Yeah, cool. It's prestigious. So members, I propose that we accept a recommendation, or put a recommendation that we get this company in and get it up to British standards.
I just asked my wife, have we got a lightning conductor stood up there? A lightning conductor? Have we got one up there?
Yeah.
It's a French one.
A French one, yeah. It's Monsieur Conductor.
It's the conductor.
I don't really disagree, but we could ask our insurance whether.
We could do, but I think there's work to be done on it anyway, because it's not up to speed. It doesn't even work. Should we be hit with the lightning, it doesn't work. So it's going to blow the roof off, I would have thought. So I still propose that we go with it.
And I second that.
Councillor Hudson says that. All in favour, please show. Thank you, that's carried.
Just out of interest, can I ask how long it will take to get the work done so that we can get the scaffolding down? It is an issue with some residents and some councillors.
Well, these things don't work really quickly, do they?
Unfortunately.
I'm not asking for it to be expedited, just how long?
If approved tonight, Redpath Buchanan can come in for the work on the dome this Friday, and which would then allow us next week to get the scaffolding on the front and the dome down. Scaffolding at the back would still possibly be a couple of weeks, but at least that's not so visually apparent.
Just following on from that, the restaurant down below, I'm absolutely assuming we're keeping them posted. But have we given them a bit of a rebate on their rent, given that they are not likely to be attracting the same footfall in a crucial period of time as they might do? Obviously, we want them to be successful, and I had an absolutely wonderful pizza from them. So,
well, I was going to say that the Little Ships Week, they had their tables and chairs out there, and they were full. So I don't think they've lost any money by the scaffolding being up. So I'm not too particularly.
Is it a question we can ask them?
Whether they want to rebate.
No, whether the scaffolding has impacted on their business.
Well, it's bound to have done a little bit, but I mean, I don't think it stopped people from coming in. It certainly hasn't stopped residents from coming in.
I think also because they're so new, they don't have the historical data to say we're down such a % on a year ago.
Right, members, thank you for that. On to item 6, which is Technicians Depot. This is to note the office space at the technicians at the port is no longer available, and temporary porter cabins are now to be considered. So that's what we're up to now.
It was where TDC needed to move an existing tenant into that office because the building that tenant was in was unsafe.
Did we have an original agreement? Because we were looking at the porter cabins before, wasn't that agreed before this site became available?
So the latest agreement was the deal that was on the table from TDC, but that has now changed.
Back to the porter cabin.
Yeah. Well, it is what it is, and I think, we've got to try and make the best of it. So it's just for noting, so there's no decision to be made. Obviously, Laura and the gang will be looking to get the best deal that they can. I think we can talk to Matt at the harbour to see, because there are porter cabins there. And I'm sure that there are plenty there, to be honest.
Equipment in.
Yeah. Councillor Green?
I discussed this with the clerk this morning. I think establishing ourselves on the port land is important. I wouldn't want to delay that too long in case things change.
Yeah, I understand where you're getting at.
Second-hand porter cabins,
Yeah,
either through the port or
yeah.
from elsewhere, aren't that expensive.
We can do that.
I don't know the ins and outs of the green campus, but if our long-term plan is to actually base our workforce on the port, because this is just information that's come to me second-hand, so I've got no idea whether it's true or not, that not all of the green campus has got people moving into it, so they're still at a stage of building something that people might want. I think Louise did seem to suggest that there are one or two players that are there or are interested, but is it something we can introduce to the green campus to...
Personally, I don't think so, only in relation to what our technicians do, what the storage areas that they need, materials and everything
They have an
like
office
that.
in the green campus where there's a cafe and facilities,
Well,
then equipment elsewhere.
would only be a short walk down, wouldn't it, from the port to Green Campus, if that is the case. But I'm not, that's something in the distance, Council, because I'm not worried about whether our technicians get a coffee or somewhere that they can go. But certainly, we need to move to try and secure something. So that's just for noting, members. Okay. Thank you. Item 7 is confidential items, so I'm recommending that under the Public Bodies Act 1960, part of the local government be excluded from the meeting for the following items of business, and if members are in agreement with that, can I please have a show of hands if you're in agreement with that? Thank you, that's carried. And for anybody watching, I'm sorry, we're going to have to turn you off and